I wrote a book. Join me in this video as I talk about it and learn a little bit about the author along the way. 18-year-old Fennec is one of the few cadets selected for training at M.I.A. Academy, a school for children of soldiers missing in action. Together, 5 maladjusted teenagers, dysfunctional as any family pushed to survive can be. But honestly, who can blame them? At M.I.A. Academy, to fail means exile into enemy territory marked for death. All Fennec wants is freedom from the many years of mental abuse she has endured. But freedom is a far cry when graduation is looming. What's waiting is war. Desperate to escape, Fennec hacks the Academy's security gate and runs. But after she is captured, disembodied voices haunt her daydreams, pushing her almost to the breaking point. Under intense scrutiny from her general, Fennec and the cadets prepare for the final mission. But when the mission goes murderously and supernaturally wrong, survival hinges on their cyber operationalist teacher, a woman who's been lying to them about everything. Running to Russia, Fennec's past is exposed, a bomb that shatters her very identity. With the scope narrowed, her friends are the target. And with the voices getting louder, Fennec is destined to explode, and lucky for them all, she was born to burn. The Soldier M.I.A. is a YA young adult military science fiction novel set primarily in a remote base camp in Alaska. The book diverges and we move towards Russia, post-Cold War Russia, and the UK. It is an adventure story, first and foremost, a survival story with a spy subgenre. What inspired this story? Well, it was a mix of personal experience and a love of spy stories. In 2019, I went through a Jason Bourne, James Bond craze, and I was just fascinated with the worlds, the adventure, and the themes within specifically the Jason Bourne trilogy. My dad also is a well-veteran law enforcement officer with experience that has translated into my personal life, so I have some first-hand experience around law enforcement. He's worked with special forces alongside ex-special forces, and he's also had experience as a private investigator as well. I have worked for an ex-Marine. That experience inspired some of the more realistic elements within the Soldier M.I.A. A little bit about me. My name is Tiara. I am a Canadian science fiction and fantasy author. The Soldier M.I.A. is my debut, with hopefully many more to come as I continue to self-publish and learn about my process. I have been writing for as long as I can remember. It's always been a hobby and a love of mine. And that's pretty much it. A little personal stuff about me. I would consider myself to be an introvert. I love nature. I spend a lot of my life in nature. I enjoy hiking, reading, and a good cup of tea. Which character surprised me the most? Well, as you will see throughout this book, you're going to meet a plethora of characters who are high intensity, who are strong, who are very emotional, who are conflicted, and who are definitely not perfect people. A lot of them, in fact, are morally gray. That being said, who surprised me the most? Probably my main character, Cassandra Fennec. and the side main character, who you will meet both within the first chapter, Brody Artwolf. I initially wrote Fennec as a kind of punk chick with a lot of attitude. If you have ever watched Gilmore Girls, you can think of Jess Mariano.
You have nothing, I have nothing!
Fennec retained some of that, for sure, some of that kind of punk chick rebellion. By the 6th or 7th draft of that book, she's a lot more reserved and a lot more mission focused rather than personal focused.
I'm here for the killers. You got it like that.
As time went on writing this character, she became much more of a serious character who kept a lot of her internal self to herself, even from herself. There's a lot of herself in that sentence. She became sharper, more calculative, and definitely dangerous than I originally intended for her to be. Brody was always designed to be the kind of yin to Fennec's yang. Where he surprised me the most was his leadership and his focus from life being just a big party and goofing off all the time to being his own boss when the chips were down and actually pulling the team through crap when it hit the fan. Through the writing process, both characters became more emotionally complex and sympathetic, and that would be true of the entire cast of characters that I wrote. They have developed and changed just as I have as a person, and yeah, I'm excited for you to meet them. Was writing the story difficult? Yes. Largely because writing is 100% amazing. It's great. Editing, on the other hand, is a nightmare. It can have its elements of fun, but it is like weeding a giant forest by hand and hoping that it's all good, which even now on my final draft here, I'm catching the smallest typos that I'm gonna fix before releasing the book. That is extremely tedious, but it's worth it. How long did it take from start to finish? From start to finish, this book took 6 years. And don't freak out, because that sounds like a really long time just on one project, but I took intermittent breaks between writing, and I focused on different projects. I wrote an entire other novel totally separate to this. I wrote a sequel, or most of the sequel to this book, and I've been working and growing and moving out and doing a million other things within the 6 years. This has not been my sole focus, but has been a passion project for a long time. One thing that I would recommend to anyone trying to pursue writing as a career, or just because they enjoy it, is to love what you do and love the process, because the release is just the starting point of building that career. To stake everything on one book is too much pressure for anyone to possibly do with one book, with one art medium of any kind. Love your work, but the process of learning through experimenting is essential for your craft. All right, and finally, what do I hope readers or you guys will take away from this story? My hope is that readers will see themselves in my characters. The heart of this story, the heart of all of my stories, are the characters. Because people are complicated and messy and human, and stories need to be told about us for relatability and for self-expression. I also am hoping that people can see these characters not necessarily as role models, because they are real and they are complicated and they are absolutely not perfect, at times even morally gray. Being an introvert, as many writers are, I hope that they will see the narrative and not so much the author. I'm going to step behind the scenes and allow the story to speak for itself. I hope you guys will be able to take away the novel's themes, which is resilience, freedom, and that no one is alone in their struggles. And maybe most importantly, that readers will take away that each one of us has a talent, a unique personality that can be used to create positive change for ourselves and for the world around us, even if it takes a lot of courage to make that change. All right, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you will enjoy the Soldier M.I.A.
I laid a hand on the plastic box, remembering, wishing that the pictures would spring out of the box, disassembling into particles.
Trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you.
Passing through multicolored filters and displaying propaganda on all my walls. We weren't supposed to see the film. Losing, and I wouldn't let them win. Call off your men, or we both burn. I'm not afraid of fire.